Hello, guys, and welcome to Week 5 of NFL Game Picks. Yes, I know we're coming out with the video later than expected, but it is what you got to do sometimes. So, last week was an interesting week of football. As always, Tennessee Titans game ended up getting postponed. Tennessee Titans and Steelers. That is postponed to, I believe, Week 7, if I'm not mistaken. Or that's the Ravens game that they're going to switch around. Either way, that game did not happen this past week, so that game obviously did not count towards our record. And so starting last week, my record was 9-6, which puts me on 39-24 for the season. How about you guys?
Yeah, I went 11-4, which puts me at the top with 45-18 so far through 4 weeks. There was a tie last week, so I believe it gave all of us a win for that game.
Yeah, ties give us wins. Yeah.
Yeah, so last week I went 9-6, so I'm in second place now to Bryce. I'm one game back. I'm 44-19 overall on the season. Looking to bounce back and regain first this week.
Yeah, I had a rough week last week. Went 8-7 and moved me to 41-22 on the season. I believe that puts me in third.
Yeah. No, it's definitely tough, especially when games get canceled. So anything you guys want to mention from week 4 that just want to talk on, or you guys good on that for right now?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty interesting. I mean, you had some players test positive for COVID, like Cam Newton, who didn't play Monday night, which after seeing that game, I believe if Cam would have played, that the Patriots would have been – it would have been either a closer game or that they probably would have won that game. So, so far, I mean, COVID's been playing kind of an issue so far at this point in the season with postponing one game and, kind of affecting the outcome of another game. So it's going to be interesting to see as the season progresses how the NFL handles this and how it affects games.
Yeah. So anyways, week 5, we started off with a pretty good game. 2 3-1 teams. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Chicago Bears. And I know Chris is hyped for it. I'm pretty hyped for it. This should be a really good game. 2 3-1 teams. But as of late, the Bears have been opting to go with Nick Foles instead of Mitch Trubisky. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we ended up going with Nick Foles instead of Trubisky. Nick Foles did not look great last week, so I'm not super confident in the switch. I do think he's going to be better than Trubisky overall, though. This week, though, it's going to be a good game. Our defense looked shaky last week. Matt Ryan threw all over us, so hopefully Tom Brady doesn't throw all over us, but I'm still going with the Bears. And I think we're picking a score for this one as well. So I have the Bears winning by a field goal, 31-28.
Yeah, I like the Bucs on the road right here. I know their defense wasn't great against Justin Herbert and the Chargers Sunday, but their front seven is still one of the best in the NFL. And I think against the Chicago team that the offensive line isn't great, and you got Nick Foles playing in his second game with the Bears, that they'll be able to get a hold of him, and especially with Foles not really having the opportunity to work with the players in the offseason like you would normally get to. I like the Bucs by 10. I'm going to say the Bucs 31, Bears 21. I just think Tampa Bay's too good. And after seeing how the Bears struggled last week against a good defense in the Colts, I think they struggle again this week.
Yeah, I'm taking Tampa too. I think they win this one 27-17. I just think they're the better all-around team. I think Chicago's going to struggle offensively against a good defense.
Yeah, I relate with all of you guys except for Chris. I am going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers one as well. And I have them winning 34-17. Just like how Bryce said, like they've played a good defense last week and it did not look good for them. And hopefully Nick Foles has a bounce back, but I don't see this Bears team scoring over 20 points with Nick Foles once again. So let's kick it off to the first game of Sunday. We have the Arizona Cardinals at the New York Jets, and very interesting. Jets are 0-4. Adam Gase is not fired yet. I want to get some thoughts from Eddie on both the Cardinals and the Jets.
The Jets are by far the worst team in football. Like, it's not even close. They're terrible. I think the Cardinals, they have their struggles. They have a bunch of young players, and they look promising to start the year, but I think they hit a little bit of a slump. I think they'll bounce back, but I'm going to take Arizona on this one.
I like Arizona as well. I agree with you, Eddie. I just think they're really young. They're just going to struggle, and they lost a close one to Detroit, so they're just going to lose a bunch of close games, I think, this year. But Jets are terrible, so I'm going Cardinals.
There was a play last week in the Jets-Broncos game that caught my eye. We all know Sam Darnold sees ghosts. Well, he was apparently sacked by a ghost, and those ghosts still haunt him, and partially it's Adam Gase's fault. I'll double down this week. The Jets suck. Cardinals will win big and bounce back.
Yeah, I'm going with the Cardinals as well. I just do not see them beating the – I don't see the Jets beating the Cardinals at all. Then we have a possible game who we're not sure yet if it will be played or not, but we have the 4-0 Buffalo Bills against the 3-0 Tennessee Titans. And Tennessee had more positive tests, so it just keeps on looking worse and worse for your team, Bryce. What are your thoughts?
I think the number after this morning is now up to 23 players testing positive. The one interesting thing about that I'm wondering about is how many of those players were asymptomatic or actually were showing, symptoms and having, actual COVID. But at the end of the day, they still tested positive. So right now it's looking like the possibilities, if no one tests positive, it'll either be played Monday or Tuesday. If the game is played, I got to pick my Titans. I don't know how we could win, but I can't go against the Titans. That is assuming if the game is played. Right now, I think it'll be hard for them to play it. But if they do play it, I'm going to pick the Titans.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree. I think if they do play the Titans, they're just going to have way too many people out. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Derrick Henry put up big numbers against Buffalo because they've been giving up over 100 yards in the last few games rushing. So he could be your savior, but I'm still going with Buffalo. I think Tennessee's going to just have too many people missing.
Yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo on this one too. I think Josh Allen has just proven to be a good QB this year. And Titans, another week of not practicing, that'll hurt. I saw that they're even considering a forfeit for this game because of pictures that they took on at a high school campus practicing. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but I'll take Buffalo.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see what happens with this game. But I am going Buffalo Bills just because it seems like Tennessee just has too much going against them. If there was no coronavirus and nothing happening amongst that, I'd probably take Tennessee, but in a close game. So either way, if this was a real game, like 100%, you have your full staff and full players, this is a really close game. So it'll be tough, but I'm going Buffalo on this one. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons, and the Falcons just can't win a game. And the Panthers are they're just coasting by 2-2, and the Falcons are 0-4. I'm going with the Charlotte Panthers. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think the Falcons finally get their first win of the season. Other than Monday night, their offense has not been terrible. Their defense is arguably worst in the league. But I think somehow their offense finds a way to get their first win of the season. As Carolina, I think not having McCaffrey will finally show in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. McCaffrey is like 90% of Carolina's offense, so missing him is definitely going to be tough. Plus, Atlanta's offense is pretty good, actually. They're, like you mentioned, their defense is just awful and terrible. So if they can hold Carolina to like under 20 points, probably get their first win. So I'm going Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm taking Atlanta too. I don't know how they haven't won a game yet, but I think they're destined to win when their offense does look good. I'm taking the Falcons.
Yeah, it was kind of tough. I tuned into the Monday night game like about halftime, and I saw it was like 3-20. I'm like, all right, this game is going to be very boring, especially with Julio out, and I needed Matt Ryan and Julio to ball out. But nonetheless, let's go to the next game. We have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens, and Cincinnati 1-2-1. They just got their first win last week, and the Ravens are 3-1. I'm going with the Ravens. It's a no-brainer for me. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I'm gonna go with the Ravens. Sorry, Burrow, you're gonna struggle against that defense, but they just came off their win and everything. But I'm going Ravens.
I'm going with the Ravens too, but the Bengals are on a little bit of a streak, having a tie and a win. So I think Joe Burrow is starting to find himself, and this Ravens defense is not as good as everybody thinks it is. Losing Earl Thomas is showing. I think it'll be a close game, but I think the Ravens overall are better and will pull it out.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati keeps it pretty close, but I'm going to roll with Baltimore here. Joe Burrow is looking better, and I think just with more time with more time in game, he's just going to keep looking better instead of Cincinnati. So I'm going to take Baltimore.
Yeah, luckily last week they played the Jaguars and Joe Burrow looked really good. But, he's running into a pretty tough team in the Ravens. So, obviously, I think we're all going Ravens here. But it's going to be a tough one. And I do expect the Bengals to compete. They've been competing very well with Joe Burrow. Next, we have the Denver Broncos at the New England Patriots. Like we mentioned earlier, Cam Newton had coronavirus. He still has it, I think, at this point. And then Stephon Gilmore just tested positive for it as well. Given that, I still think the Patriots can win this game. They competed pretty well with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't think the Broncos at this moment are comparable to the Chiefs. So I'm going with the Patriots here. What about you guys?
Yeah, had the Patriots had Cam Newton, I believe they would have won Monday night. But without Cam and without Stephon Gilmore, I still think the Patriots are able to win. I know Drew Lock is 50-50 for right now. If he's able to play, then I think that Denver could possibly pull out the road win. But as of right now, with his playing up in the air, I'm going to roll with the Patriots. I feel like they're a safe bet at home.
So I'm going to go with an upset here. I'm going with the Broncos. This game, the spread is actually even, so they're pretty evenly matched. I think Patriots are going to be missing both of their captains on offense and defense. So I'm hoping the Broncos come out and have a good game. Melvin Gordon had over 100 yards last week, so I'm going to go ahead and take the upset with the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm going to take New England here. I mean, I think even if they start, whether it's Stidham or Hoyer, I think they're still a better team. I think it's going to be interesting, though, to see the ramifications of the whole Stephon Gilmore and what happens with the Chiefs after, because I saw pictures of him, like, with Mahomes and stuff. So definitely going to be interesting.
I saw the same thing, Eddie. But, yeah, it's just like what Bryce said. If Drew Lock played this game, more than likely think the Broncos could win. But for right now, I'm sticking with the Patriots. I think they're the better team than the Broncos at the moment. And then next we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Houston Texans. Texans just released Bill O'Brien, the coach and the general manager, because he had both titles for some reason. And the Jaguars just lost to the Bengals. So given that Texans are 0-4, they're definitely not an 0-4 team on paper. They should not be an 0-4 team. They should at least have one, maybe two wins at max right now, given the schedule they had. So I'm going with the Texans. I think they should beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, but don't be surprised if Jacksonville wins either. They're a decent team as well.
Jacksonville is a surprising team. They play good against good teams, and then they play really bad against bad teams. So it's, they beat the Colts, and they look terrible against the Dolphins and the Bengals. I think the Texans win this game without Bill O'Brien there calling the shots. I think it's, letting Deshaun Watson do whatever he wants to do. Defensively, I don't think they're good. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. But I'm going to give the Texans the edge here, as I feel like Deshaun Watson will pull out something special. But these two teams are not two good teams at all. So I think the Texans will get their first win. But I expect a good game from Jacksonville also.
Yeah, I'm going Houston. I think the Jacksonville should probably be winless, honestly. I think they got lucky against Indiana that first week. They had a lot of injuries, the Colts did. So I think the Jags got lucky. And I think Houston should have some wins. I think Bill O'Brien getting fired is the best thing that could happen to them. And I think they're going to start winning some ball games here. So I'm going Texans.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Texans. I think they're fired up after firing their head coach. Should be fired up to play under a new coach. And I think on paper they should be the better team than Jacksonville. So I'm going to take the Texans.
Yeah, all good points there. Let's take it to the next game. We have the Los Angeles Rams at the Washington football team. And that sounded weird coming out at the Washington football team. But Rams are 3-1, and the Washington football team is 1-3. And I believe they are benching Dwayne Haskins. So I don't know why. They say that Kyle Allen knows the system better. Obviously, he had familiarity playing with Ron Rivera's system in Carolina. But stunting the rookies' growth, not the rookies' growth, second-year players' growth is not exceptional against, especially a good team like the Rams. You should want to have him in there and experience these type of games. So I'm going with the Rams. I think they're going to win. I wouldn't say super easy, but it's going to be a good game between these two teams.
Yeah, I'm taking Washington at home with the upset for the mere reason that Los Angeles had to travel to Buffalo, then back to Los Angeles last week to play at home, and then they have to travel all the way across country to play Washington, and Washington's just been staying at home the last two games. So I like Washington at home. I may ramble on here a little bit, but I have two theories about Dwayne Haskins. The first one is that they either A, believe he's done and that they are just going to move off of him. And Ron Rivera's like, why did y'all draft this guy? Or it's B, because he was a rookie last year, had virtually no offseason, and that they're going to bench him and let him learn under Kyle Allen and Alex Smith and just mature some and maybe bring him out later in the year and hopefully try to build him up for next year. So that's my two theories on the Dwayne Haskins situation.
He's not looking good so far, Haskins, but I'm not sure if I agree with the benching. If Alex Smith can come back and he's healthy, I think he's clearly the better quarterback, but that's like a big if. That's a bad injury to come off of. I'm not going with Washington. I'm going with the Rams. Rams are 3-1. I just think they're way, way better. So I'm going Rams.
Yeah, I'm going with the Rams too. I think they're the better team, even though they've been traveling a lot. I think that offense, even though Washington has a pretty good defense, I think they can put up some points. So I'm going to take LA on this one.
Next game we have is the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Vegas just couldn't really get anything going against Buffalo last week. I caught some of that game. And then obviously the Chiefs had I wouldn't say lucky bounces. It's a ball bounced their way and just absolutely just speed on the Patriots at the end of the game. But obviously Chiefs are 4-0. It's hard to not go for them. So I'm going with the Chiefs here. What about you, Eddie?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs for the first time all season last game, they didn't look great. They didn't look like a Super Bowl caliber team. But I think they bounced back this week. Even though they got the win against a depleted New England team, I think they come out and they put a pretty good beating on the Raiders, even though the Raiders have been a pretty good team this year.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the Raiders. I think they're a decent football team, but I think they're stuck in that, like, good but not great category. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs because the Chiefs are in that great category, and I think they're going to start off 5-0.
So, yeah, I'm a believer in the Raiders, and I think they'll be a playoff team, but I'm just more of a believer in Patrick Mahomes. An interesting fact, Patrick Mahomes' 3 worst games in his career has all come against New England and the Patriots. So doesn't mean that he plays terrible. It's just 3 of his worst games come against the Patriots, which his worst games are some QB's best games. But I love the Chiefs this week. I don't see the Raiders. I don't think they're a good enough team to beat the Chiefs yet. So I like the Chiefs at home.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see. Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles at the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have the Pennsylvania series going on here. And Philly 1-2-1 with a tie. And Pittsburgh, obviously 3-0, not 4-0 or 3-1 possibly, because they could not play last week due to the Titans coronavirus scare. But I think Pittsburgh will I wouldn't say blow out Philadelphia, but will blow them out of the waters. Like, it's not going to be a challenge for the Steelers. I think that the Steelers win this one easily.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Steelers are a much better football team. Philly's got to be probably the most disappointing team in the league. I mean, that whole division, Philly and Dallas. But so I think Pittsburgh's going to really separate themselves and win this division by a few games. So I'm going Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the NFC least has as many losses as the AFC North does wins. That's just blows my mind. I think this is a better game than what people think. It could be a field goal game. I think Pittsburgh having that extra week off, they could come out a little slow. The Eagles could jump out early. But overall, I like the Steelers at home. I feel like overall they're the better team.
Yeah, I like Pittsburgh in this one too. I think their defense against a Philly team that's going on the road. I don't think Carson Wentz has that many weapons against a good defense here. And Pittsburgh can't put up offense. They're going to be rested after not playing last week. So I'm going to take Pittsburgh in this one.
Yeah, I don't fault you guys at all for picking Pittsburgh here. Next, we have the Miami Dolphins at the San Francisco 49ers. And obviously, we're doing game scores for this one. And you already know who I'm rocking with. I'm rocking with my Fins. And I don't know, man. I just, after seeing what happened to them on Sunday Night Football against the Eagles, I have no faith in the 49ers. They had to bench Nick Mullins, and it was just not looking good for them. But obviously, every week is a different week. But still, I have the Dolphins winning 27-13. What about you, Eddie?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Dolphins in this one too. They didn't look bad last week at all against Seattle, and I'm going to take them 27-17. I think they win it by 10. I don't know. The fan base wants two already. I think it's a little bit too early for that. But San Francisco, one of these teams that have been hurt all year long. And the Dolphins capitalized and went on the road.
Yeah, I think this is a low-scoring game, but I like the 49ers at home 17-13. I don't know. I'm just not a believer in the Dolphins. I feel like they're going to look good against the Seahawks, but then going on the road to play the 49ers, I'm just not a believer in them on the road. I think Fitzmagic has had some good games and some bad games, and I think he has one of his bad games here. I don't think it's Tua time yet. I think you got to give him more time to make sure he's healed up because he's your franchise quarterback. So and you're not contending. So just keep rolling with the season the way it is. But yeah, I like the 49ers again, 17-13 at home.
Yeah, I'm going to go with San Fran as well. I think it's going to be low scoring. I have it as 21-13. Dolphins, they did play good against the Seahawks, but I'm not confident, and I agree it's way too early for Tua. Keep rolling with Fitzmagic for a while.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a lot of people talking about whether Tua should play or not. Absolutely not. You don't want to damage your goods. Yes, look at Eddie's jersey right there. But yeah, you don't want to damage your goods. You don't want to jeopardize your future just for a couple wins in a season that may or may not result to being in the playoffs. So you just never know with that. And let's move on to the Indianapolis Colts at the Cleveland Browns. This game should be interesting. Both teams are 3-1. I want to get some word from Eddie and Bryson on this one. I mean, Chris and Bryson on this one.
Yeah, so this is the first good team that the Colts have faced this season. They played Jacksonville, Minnesota, the Jets, and then the Bears last week. So I just think Cleveland, their first test, that Cleveland front line looked absolutely nasty against the Cowboys last week. I think the Colts not having faced a good team yet. I think the Browns will win in a close game, though. I got the Cleveland winning 23-20. Myles Garrett, I think, will have a big game on the Colts tackles, and I don't see this Colts defense stopping that Browns rushing attack, and it'll open up Baker Mayfield to throw the play action deep to Odell on a not very good Colts secondary. So, yeah, I think the Browns win, but a good close game.
So I got to watch the Colts a lot last week as they beat my Bears. That defense I thought looked pretty good, honestly. I'm not sold on Baker. I don't think he's a good quarterback. You guys all know that. So I'm going with the Colts. I think it's going to be a little bit of a higher scoring game. I have it 34-28. So I'm going Indianapolis on this one. Hopefully Baker gets benched during this game.
I'm going to go Cleveland on this one. I thought their offense looked ridiculous against Dallas last week. And, I mean, I don't think that Colts offense is capable of keeping up with the Cleveland offense. And the Cleveland, the front seven looks amazing. So, and Jarvis Landry, hell of an arm for a quarterback. They might bench Baker for Jarvis.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know, because the Colts played the Bears last week. Bears obviously very underperformed with Nick Foles, and then the Browns played the Cowboys, and they're the freaking Cowboys. You know, like they have the highest highs and the lowest lows. Like they can never do anything mediocre, and that's how they are, mediocre. Nonetheless, I'm picking the Colts, and I'm picking them 30-28. It's gonna be a very close game. It's gonna be a field goal, like whoever has the ball last wins the game type of energy. But definitely, I'm rolling with the Colts 30-28. And then next we have the New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. Giants are 0-4, and the Cowboys are 1-3. They are a muffed onside kick return from being winless. So they're the same spot as the Giants, but I do have to pick them because I think they are just slightly better than the Giants. So it's very frustrating. I picked this game.
It's definitely going to be a high-scoring game, probably like in the 35-35 range because the Cowboys' defense wouldn't stop us from running through it. And I don't think any of us are tremendous athletes. Maybe Chris, the former big-time basketball player. But, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to pick the Cowboys. I think offensively they're far better than the Giants. But I just think Danny Dimes is going to put up points against this Cowboys defense that is absolutely the worst in the league, along with the Falcons and probably the Jets. So I'll take the Cowboys, but I don't know. I mean, this game could be a toss-up, but Dallas is far better than – they should beat the Giants convincingly, but as we've seen the last few weeks, their defense is sus.
Yeah, so I played Dak Prescott in both my fantasy leagues last week, and I saw the numbers he's been putting up. So I'm going with Dallas, and I took Dallas in my Keep 'em league as well, where you have to pick a winner each week. So I'm hoping Dallas comes out with this win, but their defense is questionable. I mean, they're missing a lot of key players, but let's hope Prescott gets a win here for me.
I'm going to take Dallas, and I think Dak's been putting up big numbers, but I think it's just because they've been trailing all year long. They haven't really got a chance to play their way. They're always playing catch-up. But I don't like this Giants team. I think their offense is very weak. Defense not good, so I'm going to take Dallas.
Yeah, I agree with you, Eddie. I think those numbers are inflated. A lot of garbage time numbers. You know, you're down 20-something points, and then you just – defense is slacking off 20 yards every time you throw the ball. So, yeah, I'm still going with Dallas, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants win just because of how the Cowboys have been performing. Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings at the Seattle Seahawks. And Minnesota is 1-3. Seattle, obviously, 4-0 after beating the Dolphins last week. And I'm going with Seattle. I just think they're head and toes above Minnesota. What about you guys?
So if this stat is accurate, it says Kirk Cousins is 6-13 all time in primetime games. I got to go Seattle. Russ is on a different level. This Minnesota defense is not – their secondary is not good. If they can get Daniil Hunter back and have him and Yannick Ngakoue rushing the passer, obviously their D-line and linebackers are great. But the secondary is not guarding DK, Tyler Lockett, anybody. So, yeah, I think the Seahawks will win convincingly.
Yeah, I'm going with Seattle here. I think it's pretty easy. Russ for MVP so far this year. One player I do like so far in Minnesota, though, is the rookie Justin Jefferson, the wide receiver. He's been playing pretty good, but it's not going to be enough to beat Seattle.
Seattle, I just think they had a bad game last weekend against the Dolphins, traveling across the country, whatever. But I think this week they put a beating on Minnesota. They're my early favorites to go to win the NFC this year. So I'm going to take Seattle.
Yeah, all good picks there. Obviously, primetime Kirk Cousins. Let's see if he shows up. Let's see if he'll be screaming you like that after the game or not. But last but not least, we have Monday Night Football. We have the Los Angeles Chargers at the New Orleans Saints. We're doing scores for this one as well. And, I mean, the Chargers are looking really good. They're looking pretty good with Justin Herbert as their starting quarterback. Who knows if Tyrod Taylor is going to be coming back this game. But even then, I still probably wouldn't have picked them to win. I'm picking the Saints on this one. Obviously, Drew Brees finally got his first win since they drafted Michael Thomas without having him in the game. So it was good for him. I guess you can say that. But I'm taking the Chargers 21 and the Saints 32. I think the Saints are just going to put up a ton of points.
Had the Saints not played the Lions Sunday, I don't think they played winning football. That's why I got the Chargers winning. I think the Chargers losing against the Bucs was more impressive than the Saints beating the Lions. I got the Chargers winning 34-30. I think it's another high-scoring game. I don't think the Saints have looked like a playoff team so far this season. Drew Brees did throw the ball down the field last game. Then again, it was against the Detroit Lions, so I wouldn't put any weight onto that. But, yeah, I like the Chargers on the road here, and I guess what you could somewhat call an upset.
Yeah, I'm going Chargers as well. I didn't think the Saints looked very good last week. Let's go ahead and see if Herbert can perform in some primetime games, and this might be maybe like a passing of the torch ceremony here. Well, it's going to be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm going with Chargers in an upset.
I'm going to take the Saints. I thought Herbert played really, really good against Tampa Bay last week, made some great throws. But I wanted to pick the Chargers, but honestly, I need to make up ground, and you guys picking the Chargers kind of made me change my pick right now. So I'm going to take the Saints.
And what's your score for it, Eddie?
Oh, I got New Orleans winning 33-27.
Alrighty, and that is our Week 5 game picks. Obviously, if you haven't noticed, the Packers and the Lions have not been featured on this week's episode. It's because they're on the bye week. And who knows, this Tennessee Titans and Buffalo Bills game may be moved to Monday or Tuesday. We're not sure yet. So, obviously, that given when it plays, it happens. But anything you guys want to say before we end this call?
Yeah, there's a reason why it's me and Chris up at the top and Austin and Eddie down at the bottom. Me and Chris picked the Chargers. Y'all picked the Saints. I mean, it's kind of reflective of the standings. But, I'm excited for this week. Definitely interested in the Colts-Browns game. Honestly, not as interested in the Sunday night game. I feel like Seattle's going to win that big. But the Monday night game has my eye. I really want to watch my Titans play so bad. At full strength. We were 3-0, didn't play, and even if we do play, we got about 47 players that are going to be out. And so, yeah, why couldn't it be us? Why couldn't it be the Jets or the Giants, who are one of the worst teams in the league that nobody cares to watch? Why does it have to be us? But, whatever.
Yeah, definitely going to miss the Titans this week. I'm excited to see my Bears get some primetime action here on Thursday. Hopefully we bear down and get a win against Brady, the GOAT. But we'll see. It's gonna be a good game. Hopefully the players don't go out and celebrate like the Titans did and all catch COVID.
Now, I'm excited to see what the Dolphins do this week. I think if they lose, then they get pressured into starting two within the next couple of weeks. But I also want to see what happens with the whole COVID situation because, I think it was 3 different teams yesterday contracted for the first time. So, who knows how this could impact the league for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, the pressure is definitely getting put on Coach Flores in the sense of talking about Tua and seeing where he's at and if he's going to start or not, or if he's going to play. I do expect him to get in a couple games soon, but I just don't – this will be a decent game enough for him. But I think they're aiming for that Jets one because, you're going to be playing the worst team in football. Let's slide them in there real easy. But besides that, it's very interesting to see how coronavirus is affecting the NFL season so far. So it's going to be tough to see how these games play out, see if we're going to have to delay some games, postpone games until after December and January. So it's just going to be fun to see what happens there. But at least games are being played, and it's fun football to watch. So with all of that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you haven't done it yet, check out NFLGamePicker.com. This is where we're doing our game picks at. And they're a very good site. And we also that's how we track everything. So if you guys want to see our video from there, that's where we get it on. But that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Lastly,